Hi everybody, this is Eric for today's Black History Moment. This is February 19th, and so this video is number 19 for the series of Black History this month. If you want to know why I'm doing this, you can see my first Black History Moment for number 1, okay? So let's dive in. Today is a dark moment for the history, but regardless of whether it's dark or light, it is still history. And I will quote a quote that's always used: those who don't remember their history are doomed to repeat the history that they don't remember. So let's dive in. The Tuskegee Experiment, the infamous syphilis study. In order to track the disease full progression, researchers provided no effective care as the study's African American participants experienced severe health problems, including blindness, mental impairment, or death. The picture that you're seeing over here is from the archives based on that study from the movie that was created about this. The information that I'm looking at was done by Elizabeth Nix back in June 13, 2023. The original article was done in May 16, 2017. All right, so let's go forward. The Tuskegee Experiment began in 1932 at a time when there was no known cure for syphilis, a contagious venereal disease. After being recruited by the promise of free medical care, 600 African American men in Macon County, Alabama, were enrolled in the project, which aimed to study the full progression of the disease. The participants were primarily sharecroppers, and many had never before visited a doctor. Doctors from the U.S. Public Health Service, the PHS, which was running the study, informed the participants, 399 men with latent syphilis, and a control group of 201 others who were free of the disease, they were being treated for bad blood, a term commonly used in the area at the time to refer to a variety of ailments. The men were monitored by health workers, but only given placebos such as aspirin and mineral supplements, despite the fact that penicillin became the recommended treatment for syphilis in 1947, some 15 years into the study. PHS researchers convinced local physicians in Macon County not to treat the participants and instead research what was done at the Tuskegee Institute, now called the Tuskegee University. The school was founded in 1881 with Booker T. Washington as its first teacher. In order to track the disease's full progression, researchers provided no effective care as the men died, went blind or insane, or experienced other severe health problems due to their untreated syphilis. In the mid-1960s, a PHS venereal disease investigator in San Francisco named Peter Buxton spelled Buxton, found out about the Tuskegee study and expressed his concerns to his superiors that it was unethical. In response, PHS officials formed a committee to review the study, but ultimately opted to continue it with the goal of tracking the participants' until all had died. Autopsies were performed, and the project data could be analyzed. Buxton then leaked the story to a reporter friend, who passed it on to a fellow reporter, Gene Heller, of the Associated Press. Heller broke the story in July of 1972, prompting public outrage and forcing the study to finally shut down. Now, I'll remind you, the study started in 1932. 1932. By that time, in 1972, 28 participants had perished from syphilis, 100 more had passed away from related complications, and at least 40 spouses had been diagnosed with it, and the disease had been passed to 19 children at birth. In 1973, Congress held hearings on the Tuskegee Experiment, and the following year, the study's surviving participants, along with their heirs of those who had died, received a $10 million out-of-court settlement. Additionally, new guidelines were issued to protect human subjects in the United States government-funded research projects. Started in 1932 and ended in 1973. 41 years. 41 years, and the participants were lied to based on this information. As a result of the Tuskegee Experiment, many African Americans developed a lingering deep mistrust of public health officials and vaccines. In part to foster racial healing, President Bill Clinton issued a 1997 apology stating, quote, "The United States government did something that was wrong, deeply, profoundly, morally wrong. It is not only in remembering that shameful past that we can make amends and repair our nation, but it is in remembering that past that we can build a better present and a better future," unquote. During his apology, Clinton announced plans for the establishment of the Tuskegee University's National Center for Bioethics in Research and Healthcare. The final study participant died or passed away in 2004. The Tuskegee Experiment wasn't the only unethical syphilis study. In 2010, then President Barack Obama and other federal officials apologized for another U.S.-sponsored experiment conducted decades earlier in Guatemala. In that study, from 1946 to 1948, nearly 700 men and women, prisoners, soldiers, and mental patients were intentionally infected with syphilis. Hundreds more people were exposed due to other sexually transmitted diseases as part of the study without their knowledge or consent. The purpose of that study was to determine whether penicillin could prevent, not just cure, syphilis infection. Some of those who became infected never received the medical treatment. The results of the study, which took place with the cooperation of the Guatemalan government officials, were never published. The American public health researcher in charge of the project, Dr. John Cutler, went on to become lead researcher in the Tuskegee experiments. Following Coulter's death in 2003, historian Susan Reverie uncovered the records of the Guatemalan experiments while doing research related to the Tuskegee study. She shared her findings with the United States government officials in 2010. Soon after, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Secretary of Health and Human Services Kathleen Syphilis issued an apology for the STD study, and President Obama called the Guatemalan president to apologize for the experiments. And so that concludes today's Black History Moment. Granted, we are in the 21st century, but this basis of this is why a lot of minorities do not go to the doctor, particularly minority men. It's based on that history. But of course, our physical medical history information has changed since this time, and we have to be our own medical advocates. Ask questions. Don't just say something's wrong and the doctor says, well, I'm going to write this prescription, and then he doesn't tell you anything about why he's giving you, he or she is not giving you that information about the prescription. And then, of course, you don't know what questions to ask. Research everything. Research everything. I'm not saying that all doctors or all medical professionals are bad, because they're not. They're not. Some people just don't know what they don't know. And then there are some people who are so good at their job that they just can't take all these patients because they're only one person. So again, research, and then ask questions based on that research, because you are the advocate of yourself, and you are the advocate of yourself's health. Thank you for viewing. Please share, please like, and if you want to, go ahead and subscribe. Even though this is Black History Moments, I also talk about some political things. I do a weekend review of some of the what I call the circus, what the Trump administration and Elon Musk is doing to our government, and then you can share that as well. The point of my videos is to educate. If you see something else or you have a question, you can just put that in the comments of the video, and I will read those comments, and then we will go forward with that. But again, thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.